Alright guys, and welcome back to another video. If you missed earlier's video today, because today's a double upload day, then go ahead and visit that link in the description below. But this is the second video that has a whole bunch of information regarding yesterday's dev livestream, which I actually missed, but thank you to you awesome guys over on Reddit. We have a full breakdown, and I know a lot of people were really out there talking a ton of stuff regarding that dev livestream yesterday on how there was way more info regarding just a future version of this game and also what's in the near future when it comes down to March 18th as well. So we're going to be covering all of this stuff, but go ahead, drop a like on this video if you haven't already. Hit that big red subscribe button below if you actually care for Avengers, and let's dive into the video. So I want to give a shout out to first of all, I believe it's Calix. First of all, Calix is a dude who's also like a community manager for the Avengers game, but he's just not officially a community manager. But shout out to him, and also shout out to somebody called, I believe it's Billy B311 on Reddit. So these are the dudes who've done a breakdown, so we're going to be going and basically covering all of this. Now, I want to start off with Calix's one, which is the dev stream recap. So first of all, Hawkeye's dev stream is actually going to be happening on March 12th, which is pretty exciting. They're going to be having like an interview with the combat developer and the animator joining in. So they're going to actually be showcasing some raw footage. So to give you a perspective, it's not next Friday, it's the Friday after that where we'll be able to see some new Hawkeye gameplay, which if I'm honest with you, like, I'm not 100% excited for, but I kind of am, because we've already seen Hawkeye's gameplay in the Kate Bishop DLC. But I guess it'll just be kind of cool to see like the arrows and so forth, like how that's going to work in terms of different ranges and I guess categories that you want to go, right? Essentially loadouts that you want to do with Hawkeye. So I guess I'm like probably, I don't know, maybe 65% excited. I don't know why I added the 5%. Let's just make it 60%, but hey, it is what it is. Now, the next part of that was there is a new Black Widow and Miss Marvel skin arriving next week. This marketplace is funny still. I'm not really going to speak more on that because I already did earlier today. Like I said, if you didn't check that video out, the link is in the description below. But March 18th's patch will actually include an extensive patch note, which is basically fixing a ton of harm room issues and other things that they basically tease. It's all going to get revealed beforehand on social media. PvP is still not a priority, unfortunately, as they just want to focus on what they have now. Hawkeye's StarTech inspired armor is called Iron Eye, which is interesting. And then they dropped some information regarding the cloning lab. So this is coming from Billy B's post, which says progress is being made on cloning labs, and it will be bundled with more content when it arrives, and networking will be better overall. Cloning labs take several hours to work out the puzzles. Now, basically, Calix went a bit more in depth, because on Calix's post it says that Cloning Labs content is almost finalized, and again they're just focusing on that progression aspects. But then go back to Calix's post, there was more information regarding the roadmap, which is something that we all know doesn't take this long, but it's something that we really desperately need. So it says once the roadmap gets signed off, they can basically reveal what they are working on to the public even more. And CD has an internal one set, but is working hard on getting it approved, basically for the public as a whole, which is going to be interesting. And what's also interesting is somebody did say, please don't go the same way as Anthem. And Phil said, we are still here, which is pretty interesting. I guess that's like a... We all know it's a meme at this moment in time anyway. Now, as far as Spider-Man goes, they can't talk about that because Clint first, and hey, it's just the big guys that are involved. There is a lot of stuff that you probably can't say in general. Now, with Cloning Labs as well, there's no checkpoints, so it literally is going to be like a... I guess like a run it once kind of thing and hope for the best, pretty much. Again, they did kind of speak on like the length. I think it was like 1 or 2 hours it should pretty much take, but ultimately you do want to have a good team. And I guess we're going to find out more on this once they have permission to share that roadmap as well. So we'll just have to find out. Now with the haptic feedback, which is going to be for the PlayStation 5 version and next gen version in general, it's basically built around the combat system. So for example, example, when you throw and you can catch Thor's hammer, you actually feel that, or vice versa when you shoot an arrow. And there was also some content they wanted to release much earlier, but they had to go ahead and push back due to the delays and still not being in the studio. And I think this is it's definitely something, in my opinion, that links up to the Black Panther release order. You guys know we're pretty much expecting Spider-Man now and then Black Panther, so I think that's had a hefty effect on all of that, in my opinion, but again, we'll still have to wait and see. But then what was interesting is Phil actually realized he's late for a meeting, and it's funny because it's actually a meeting about new content for the game, so I guess there's that in general. And then they were discussing like the marketplace and changes to it. But again, I mean, this is something that really deeply needs to be looked into. But again, I feel after March 18th, it's pretty much where it's all going to be going down. So things like new additions to like the HUD, for example. So I'll give you an instance. They said on the stream that the emote wheel is something that is actually being actively looked into from the dev team, which is interesting because we know it's a feature that a ton of people did want. But again, they do want to say that campaign replay, because I know a lot of people's expectations are relatively high with that. It's not going to be adding any new features, and it's why they don't call, basically, they're not calling it a new game plus, because it's just going to release sooner than the other content that is being worked on. But as far as like if you were to compare New Game Plus other games, I guess you could say, it's not going to be following that same style. Although, don't get me wrong, you're still going to have access to certain X, Y, and Z, like your perks, right? It's the whole point of a campaign replay, but we'll have to see how that goes down. So there's that information. I mean, it's safe to say we did find out some more information than we usually would, and it's going to be an interesting next 2 weeks, because I really just want Hawkeye's DLC to be out the way in general, and them to release all that info, and then we can finally just go on to something that's actually worth, I guess you could say, being excited for. I don't want to sound like a Debbie Downer. I am excited for this character, but there's a ton more better on the roster, I guess you could say. And if anything, when it does come down to the roadmap, I think like literally right on top of that list has to be literally a full breakdown of the DLC characters in order, who to expect, and kind of when to, you know, expect them. I've always said I'm not even so bothered about an actual release date. I don't really care if a release date was a TBC, right? I'd be okay with that, but just tell me which characters are coming and in which order. And I genuinely think that would be enough for the community. Correct me if I'm wrong, but seriously, I think that would go a very, very long way in my opinion. But guys, I'll see you in the next one. Till then, have yourselves a ridiculously amazing day. And until the next one, adios amigos.